Let the glow of your being outshine every star. You'll feel part of every mountain, sea, and shore. You can hear from far and near a word you never heard before. And on that clear day, you can see forever and ever. Woo!
Meet you downstairs in the bar and heard your rolled up sleeves and your skull t-shirt. You said, what did you do with him today? Stoke me out like I was decorated. 'Cause you're my fella, my guy. Hand me your stiller and fly. By the time I'm out the door, you tear me down like Roger Moore. I cheated myself like I know I would. I told you I was trouble. Yeah, you know that I'm no good.
Yeah, he was doing real good too. He was doing his treatment program and he got like a good job, right? So his job, right? He was working in a laboratory for science. But he wasn't a scientist or nothing. He was a custodian. But he liked his job. Cause you know how he was always interested in like the stars and mechanics and shit? Anyway, he was happy. And proud too. He was walking around like his old self. You remember, 4'11" in shoes, but he could carry himself, right? Anyway, so he's cleaning up the lavatory one night and he walks in and he sees this big piece of dry ice, like a mini iceberg, just sitting there. So Carlos, being Carlos, sees the dry ice getting wasted and decides to drag it into the cooler and forget about it. But in the cooler, they keep dead brains. They do experiments on dead brains for like research. Anyway, Carlos comes back and he decides to mop the walk-in cooler because he's going all out on his job. He opens the door. He walks in. He starts mopping. And then he dies. You see the dry ice? It makes carbon oxides, which is poison and invisible. So Carlos didn't even know he was walking into no poison, so he just died. The worst part too, he died on payday. He didn't even get to cash his first check. The story of my parents is this. It was said that my father was the funniest man in the village. He didn't marry until he was 63 because he didn't want to marry a woman who wasn't funny. He said he would wait until he met his match in wit. And then one day, he met my mother. Your mother, he said, and he would take a long pause.
funnier than I am. We have never been apart since the day we met because I always wanted to know the next joke. My mother was old for a mother. She refused many proposals. It would kill her, she said, to have to spend the rest of her life laughing at jokes that weren't funny. My mother and my father didn't look into each other's eyes. They laughed like hyenas. Even when they made love, they laughed like hyenas. I wear black because I am in mourning. My mother died last year. Have you ever heard the expression, I almost died laughing? Well, that's what she did. The doctors, they couldn't explain it. They said she choked on her spit, but they don't really know. She was laughing at one of my father's jokes. A joke it took him 1 year to make for the anniversary of their marriage. And when my father learned of my mother's death, he shot himself. So I came here to clean this house.
So, an interesting skill of mine is that I love to practice dialects and accents, one of course being the upper class RP, where the kings and the queens and their dukes and their cousins, they all talk in this manner. But if you want to get real grimy, you want to get down the streets of London, yeah, it's Cockney it is. You probably can't even say what I'm saying. Can you even say what I'm saying, love? But if I just want to be a normal girl from Birmingham, I just have to relax it a little bit and make sure I pronounce my consonants, and it's all good. Emma Watson kind of talks like this. You know, modern British girls kind of, you know, just speak like this. But of course, if I want to be from the country of love and eat croissants and smoke cigarettes, I can talk like this all day long. It's very sexy. But in the land of the green, where there are many leprechauns, leprechaun, we don't call it leprechaun, leprechaun. I think that's a little off. I'll have to work on my Irish. However, I always can pull out the Southern. It is so easy for me. You know what's my absolute favorite thing to do? Is use this right here, this kind of talk, while I'm ordering some coffee at Starbucks, especially when there's like a really cute barista working. I always guarantee get a free latte or whatever else I'm ordering. It's just something about it. I don't even know. But like, if I want to be from East LA, you know, when we don't fuck around, excuse my French, yo. Like, it's real as shit out here. I can't even do this dialect without cussing. But like in New York, we keep it classy, yo. If you see me walking on the streets, you ain't gonna mess with me. And I'm just gonna pull them all out right now. We can go walk our dog. We can go park our car. Park our car. That's Boston. I know the difference. Don't really know Boston. But I definitely know how to speak like New Yorican. Like my Titi Zori and Jackie and all the other Puerto Ricans that be living in New York. And my family. What's up? But in Russia, we eat meatball soup and drink a vodka to keep warm from cold. However, up in the Midwest, you know what's really interesting about me is I like to compete in pageants, and I had the opportunity to compete in the Miss California pageant this last June, and it was such a nice experience. You know, I couldn't be happier just to be in that pageant. And I just like saying pageant like this because it just works. I think I've done enough embarrassing. I hope my camera caught all this. I could choose 3 words to describe myself, they would be altruistic, shy, and ambitious. Okay, the cartoon that is me is Pluto, Mickey's dog, loyal and faithful friend. Pluto is always fine in his own little world and totally happy until he gets a really great idea or something that he sees something that he really wants, and then he does everything that he can to get that and causes a big mess and gets into a lot of trouble, and right when he's about to give up, through some weird luck of fate and cartoon magic, he achieves his goal even better than he thought he could, and it all works out. Pee while sitting down. I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's kind of relieving just to sit down. I don't have an answer for that question. My most embarrassing moment, I'm gonna try to say this as quickly as possible. For my 10th birthday, in my childhood, for a short portion of my childhood, my mom owned an RV. And for my 10th birthday, all I wanted to do was go camping in Santa Barbara with my cousin and my mom. So for breakfast that morning, my request was McDonald's, and for some reason my mom thought that was the great day of all days to test her theory and find out if an RV can fit through a drive-thru. It can't. When we got there wasn't a line. 10 minutes after my mom trying to get the RV out of the drive-thru, there was a line down the street. I had to walk out of the RV and go and pick up my food. And when I looked in, everybody that was working at McDonald's and everybody that was eating at McDonald's was watching the monitor of my mom backing out of this clearance sign with an RV. And of course I was 10 years old, so I was mortified. And the dent that is left in that clearance sign is still there today. Oh! Actually, this is probably accurate. I am probably the person to have corrected their spine the most without surgery. The scoliosis patients who have corrected their spine the most without surgery. I went from a 54-degree curve to a 36-degree curve within 2 years, and now I'm down to about a 12-degree curve, which is completely normal and average for most human beings, and I could still correct more of it. Well, it's funny you should ask. This is my dog, Buddy Falcor. He's the love of my life. I originally named him Falcor after my favorite movie, The Never-Ending Story, which is actually the greatest movie of all time as well. And Falcor is a dragon, a luck dragon / dog in that movie, and he looks a lot like him. And also Buddy just seemed to fit him well in addition to that, so Buddy Falcor is his name. He's a rock star.